Hey, Willie, I see that the cookie jar moved down to your end of the table.
I pulled it down here, man.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
What's in the cookie jar for this next segment?
All right. Let's see what we have. Be 100% in.
This reminds me, I'm not the right storyteller for this, but you are. It reminds me of the story of Colonel Sanders and KFC. So you want to tell the listeners a little bit about Colonel Sanders?
Yeah, here's my understanding of Colonel Sanders' story, right? So he had a gas station that he had for years, and he had expanded a little bit and put some tables in there and was selling dinners and stuff like that, and he was doing quite well. So then he decided, hey, he's going to retire. He has to sell his gas station and little small restaurant. But then guess what? It catches fire. Totally burns down. He has no insurance. He has absolutely nothing left but three things. He has a car, he has a fryer, and he has a chicken recipe for fried chicken. So he starts going around the other gas stations and basically says, hey, look, I'll fry some chicken. You'll sell it to your customers as they come in to get gas, and we'll split the profits. And a few years later, that leads to his first Kentucky Fried Chicken, massive franchise. Decades later, it's still in existence and going strong. So to do that, Matt, what do you think about that?
He was stuck. He didn't really have any other place to go. So almost by default, he was 100% in. Thankfully, we're not all like Colonel Sanders. But if we can think about our own personal journeys on that, the important piece to me is that he had no other choice. He was really kind of between the rock and the hard place, and he had to do this work, right? Or he wasn't going to be able to eat. He wasn't going to be able to put a roof over his head. So he had no other choice. That's kind of the level of commitment that we need everybody to take in their life.
Correct. You got to say do or die, right? And what's going to happen or not happen. I want to make it happen. Or I'm going to die, right? Die trying, right? Talk about 100% commitment. I mean, that is what
versus
it takes.
Mediocrity.
Correct.
Versus just kind of, I'm just average.
Correct.
So, right. So if you don't want to put a dent in the world, if you're happy with where you are, or you're not willing to do anything about where you are, then you are where you are because of the actions that you take. But in this one, it really is about you have to do this commitment because it's going to get hard. And if you're not all in, if you do the toe dip in the water thing, at that first moment when it gets hard, or like when Mike Tyson says, right, hey, I've got a really good plan until, right, I got punched in the face, and then the plan fell apart. If you're not 100% in, if you don't know where you're going, all of these different things, boom. All right, I tried, I failed. Maybe I'll try again in another year or two.
Or try something else. So it's an interesting thing. As you were telling that story, saying that, Mike Tyson jumped in my mind too, right? I was like, yeah, I got a plan until you get punched in the nose. Great. And everything falls apart. Because life will punch you in the nose. Right. I was talking to my young daughter, and she's a great student. She's really successful. So I asked her a question. We're at the airport waiting on a flight, and I said, sweetheart, let me ask you a question. What are you going to do when you get punched in the nose? and she looked at me, and I said, no, I don't mean literally. I mean figuratively, because life will punch you in the nose. Bad stuff is going to happen. It's going to be difficult, right? So this idea you have, right? The universe is going to say, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? And if you're not committed, the universe will snatch that from you. And you'll rationalize it away, right? You'll say, well, hey.
They do it all the time.
Correct. Well, maybe it wasn't for me.
Right. That's just for other people.
Correct. Who was I to think that I could do that? I shouldn't have thought that in the first place. And all the naysayers who all told you your whole life that, you can never achieve much anyway. All that sort of comes out. Right. And then you just drift to another direction. Right?
Or you can choose the other path, back to Michael Jordan. And I am never going to let another basketball coach cut me from a team. I will never not be on a team that I want to be on. I am going to make that level of commitment. And then starting like tomorrow, do the work.
Do the work, right? Do the
and
work.
just start outworking everybody else.
Correct.
So those are kind of the two halves of the story. You get to choose. Back to you're the master of your own ship. You get to choose this. Which path are you going to take?
Which path are you going to take? And I see that with patients, right? I see that in life. We all see that in life. We see it. You know, I had a guy who come in to see me, and he was, you know, commiserating over the fact that he could not tie his own shoes. He couldn't bend over because of his weight to tie his own shoes. And his parents had to slip his shoes on. This kid is like 40. So I said to him, are you happy like that? And he said, no. I said, okay, this is what I need you to do. And as soon as I started telling him what he needed to do, that was the end of the conversation.
He turned you off.
Correct, because I ain't doing that. I said, okay then, be happy with not being able to put your own shoes on and tie your own shoes.
Your parents aren't going to be there forever, though.
That's correct, and that's what I said. I said, one day your parents aren't going to, how old are they? He told me, I said, eventually they're not going to be there, dude. All right, so eventually, you know, but you decide, are you committed to a different life? And if you are, I'm willing to help you. But I can't want this more than you want it. You have to want it more than anyone else.
I can't help you more than you want this.
Right.
Paraphrased.
Correct.
And another one for the
Cookie jar.
the cookie jar. There's no dipping your toe in the water on this one. So
Nope.
I think in kind of wrapping it up, we've got a couple ideas for you in regards to, you know, what makes a really firm commitment. How do I get between like I'm 50% committed to I'm all in. I feel this with like every bone in my body. Do you have any suggestions for us?
No, I know you do though.
Right? I've got one thing that's always helped for me, which is if I write it down and then I actually sign my name to it, and then I put it in a place where I can look at that and see it every day, maybe a couple times a day, it greatly increases the chances that I'm going to achieve that. So our call to action for ourselves again, and then for all of our listeners, anybody that's, you know, wanting to at this point in time kind of play along with us. It's not play though, because it just transitioned to commitment, or it's going to transition to commitment with this simple exercise. So what this ultimately looks like is I'm going to write your name in here, am 100% committing to achieving blank by such and such a date, and then I'm going to sign it, and I'm also going to date it. This is my commitment to myself, that I am going to do this thing that's going to put this big dent in the universe. So for Matt Smith, the way this reads, I, Matt Smith, am 100% committed to helping millions of people improve their lives through this Life Destiny program that we're working on by 10 years from now, December 31st, 2034. There's signature, date. This is going to go on my bedroom mirror. My wife's going to love it, right? And it'll be the first thing that I look at every morning after I get out of bed, and the last thing I look at before I go to bed.
And I commit to doing the same thing. But we both commit to making that a reality.
Correct.
But for us to help you make it a reality, you have to commit to it too. And guess what? The science shows that you're 7 times more likely to achieve it if you write it down, look at it, say it, think about, and put an action plan together to make it a reality.
I didn't know it was 7 times.
Seven times.
I knew it was greater.
Yeah,
but seven times.
7 times.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
just this one thing.
Just that one thing.
And with that, we'll leave it for next time.
We'll leave it for next time.